Recording in progress. Раз, раз, два, три. А можно микрофон? Раз, два, три. Да. Спасибо, друзья. Пока вот мы небольшая задержка.
Thank you, guys. We are having a delay right now. We have played a game with you. And we are talking about a case of one child. And so what do we do here? We unite our, so to speak, resources of NGOs, international organizations, of the public sector. Everybody unites in order to resolve one specific case of a specific child. And this work is done at different levels. And so we wanted you to go into the history. Hopefully you have all been able to do that, and you all now are aware of these histories. So this was a short brainstorming activity before the conference, and now our esteemed moderator is on her way. She will open our conference formally, and we will go as per the program. Now, feel free to discuss the history that we have given to you, and this is just one case out of hundreds of cases. The name has been changed, so now, guys, you can go ahead and discuss these cases, and in a short while we will start our conference.
Не надо. Не, ну пусть напишет. А у нас сколько? 75 тысяч. И россиян 75 тысяч? Нет, всего 75 тысяч. И портал управлял правительство. Вот так вот. Миграция, миграция.
Уважаемые участники, всех приветствую. Немножко необычный формат.
Dear participants, I would like to welcome you all. I see a lot of friends and partners in this room. Once again, I would like to say that I'm very happy to see you all, and I would like to thank the European Union, UNICEF, for this opportunity to see each other. Unfortunately, you are sitting in the row at the back, too far away, but I would like to say the following. We are organizers of this project, but in actuality, you are the main people here. You are those who are behind all of the events, behind the project, and on you the success of this project depends. We will be feeling a little bit sad because this is the final phase of the project, but nevertheless we will still feel happy because we will be talking about recommendations, about projects, and we'll also talk about certain issues that will be raised today. My mission as the Commissioner for Human Rights is the following. We do need to follow these recommendations purposefully and conscientiously, because we all see and have been able to see positive outcomes as a result of this project. Outcomes are both positive and problematic. I think that all of us who are present today and those who are not present today but have worked on this project, we were all united by one goal, which is protection of children's rights, protection of family rights, of protection of rights of those people who find themselves in difficult situations and in migration processes. As for the project itself, we have implemented the project quite successfully. The analytical report has been prepared, and I'm sure everybody will take a look at it. But I would like us to talk today about our problems, expectations, and positive outcomes of this project. We need to record all of that, and after the completion of the project, I'm sure we will receive new proposals, and all of us, we will continue focusing on our priorities. And the most important thing is that we have great partners. We need to have great partners to be able to achieve our main goals and objectives, in that a child in migration processes should be protected as any other child in the territory of the state. And we shouldn't be guided by saying that this child is not our child. All children who are in our territory, they are our children, and the Constitution guarantees that all children are protected and should be protected equally, as well as their parents. We do understand we have interpreters today, and we can choose any language that we need. But to remind you that this project has begun in 2017, but the main problem that we faced was in 2020 because of the lockdown. All organizations worked with us as key partners. They worked, and any restrictions or limitations that were in place were overcome, because despite all sorts of risks, the people involved were still working and achieving their results and goals and objectives. We are joined today, first of all, by representatives of the public sector, because this was mainly the responsibility of the Migration Service and of the service that works under the Ministry of Education and Social Protection. Now allow me to give the floor to the following. We are working today in a hybrid format. I do not see the full list of participants now, but hopefully everybody sees us and can hear us. But I would like to give the floor, and unfortunately, for certain reasons, representatives of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs will not be able to join us today online to welcome us all. But nevertheless, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs did help us. We are joined today by representatives of consular services of other states, more specifically of the Republic of Tajikistan. And thanks to our close cooperation with consular colleagues from Central Asian countries, we have been able to document not only children, but we're also able to resolve problems that relate to the status of the family. Allow me to express our gratitude to the ambassador of the European Union. Our co-organizers are being very modest right now because they're sitting at the very back. Mr. Kęstutis Jankauskas, I would like to give the floor to you for you to welcome us all. Right now? Yes, right now.
Good afternoon. Добрый день.
Good afternoon to all of the participants. Our working language is Russian. I think in Lithuanian. I then translate my thoughts into English, and then only after that I will try and speak Russian. No, actually, the working language is the Kazakh language. Well, I started learning it earlier this week. Thank you very much for the invitation. I have just 3 brief talking points. I think the best present for our children for the International Children's Day is actually the project and that support that has been given to the children as part of this project. I think that the foundation that has been laid will help a high number of children going forward. Secondly, the Commissioner for Human Rights is with us today, and it's not a coincidence. We had a discussion at the Center for Children's Support, and we identified steps that need to be taken going forward. This is part of our work that is very important for the European Union and for each and every country, including Kazakhstan. And this work is work aimed at ensuring human rights are fulfilled. Thirdly, we ensured that there is coordination between various structures and agencies from the public sector, from the private sector, and it's great that the project has been able to unite everyone and to create these conditions for us to be able to communicate with each other and move forward. I would also like to emphasize the following: what has been done and what needs to be done in the future, and all those problems that we are facing, especially those problems that arose after the January events, and Almaty was in the epicenter of those events, and that this means that those economic and political reforms that are underway and the upcoming referendum, I think all these in the future will help us to resolve those problems that we have been trying to resolve while working with our children. It's also very important for us to do the following. It's not possible to predict everything, but we do need to come up with a system that will react proactively, because each and every case is unique, and so we need to come up with a system that can be flexible and proactive and react to each and every of these cases. Also, as part of this project, we have worked with NGOs, and I have been saying this a lot. We cannot build a modern society without the involvement of civil society, without the involvement of the whole society. This is very important. We have also been talking about management We have talked about how to move forward while providing this help and assistance. Foreign donors and partners always look for ways to provide financial assistance to the country. And what I have seen as far as this project is concerned, we do, I think, have a lot of opportunities, and you are the ones who will be able to take advantage of these opportunities. And so if you have this management, it's a great thing. There are a lot of areas where we can help. Our partnership will be strengthened going forward. But we do see now, as a result of this project, there is cooperation. There are great skills that are being developed and acquired. Now centers for children's support are located in different cities of the country. What I have heard today is that we are all involved in this work, the so-called sponsorship and fundraising work, especially the United States. But we're all running short of money. But I think when we talk about children, money should be there, and so we should work on finding this money. The government should also be involved in that. But together, I think we should try and learn how to actually raise awareness among all sorts of organizations and businesses and individuals, and we will be able to find funds that way. And I think for that we can also organize seminars and workshops. Also, as part of this project, I have seen the following, and this is something that will happen going forward. I think cooperation between the countries of Central Asia will strengthen going forward, and this is inevitable because that support that has been provided to the children from Kyrgyzstan and Uzbekistan, hopefully that will also be extended to children of Kazakhstan, and everybody is interested in that. I think that's it from me. Thank you very much. Thank you to all who have taken part in this project. I think all of us, we have done a very useful, helpful thing. And again, from the European Union, I can say that you are our partners, and we will continue looking for platforms and looking for areas in which we can cooperate. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kestutis. I would like to emphasize the following. Each country can have its own sort of system, but it's very important for us to meet people's expectations. And to meet people's expectations, we need to ensure that this system is or works independently. Projects will help us to find new horizons, to develop new instruments. Now I would like to give the floor to Ms. Zakirova Dinara, who is a member of the Parliament of the Republic of Kazakhstan. Every project that ends with recommendations, especially with respect to legal amendments, for every project like that, it's important that people who are behind legislative amendments are involved in that. She can provide us with substantial assistance and support. Dinara Bulatovna, can you hear us? Over to you. Yes, thank you very much, dear Elvira Bulkasimovna. Good afternoon, esteemed participants of the conference. I'm very happy to welcome you all today. Indeed, we are discussing a very important topic today. We're talking about children facing certain risks. As per expert estimates, about 2 million of people enter Kazakhstan annually. Those are parents with children, and they're all involved in migration processes. And adults and children, migrants, they face with a high number of barriers, problems, and risks. Mainly problems related to absence of documents, and that leads to problems arising out of the inability to gain access to healthcare, education, and other social services. In accordance with the current national legislation, all children have equal rights in Kazakhstan, irrespective of their birth, race, social position, property status, language, etc. All that is reflected in the law on protection of children's rights. Nevertheless, in law enforcement practices, as I have said, children and their parents do face certain problems, and looking at the program, at the outcomes of the implementation of the program, and this program, as we know, was implemented by the government, by UNICEF, with the support of the European Union. All that has led to great results. Psychological services were provided and other services were provided to these children. And as Elvira Ibulkasimovna has said, all these projects and efforts have led to expanding horizons, and we do need to work systemically so as to help these children and to make sure that they have equal rights with all children who reside in the territory of Kazakhstan. One of the problems that I have dealt with is the problem of education and also the problem of documentation. Unfortunately, currently, in the majority of cases, undocumented migrant children, as we know, they do not have access to education, to healthcare, they don't go to schools, and schools, together with local executive authorities, while identifying these children, they do provide them with access to education, but then they're not able to obtain certificates. After that, they're not able to have access to higher education and then to be employed. And that way, they are not able to prosper, so to speak, and to thrive. If we pay attention to the main problem in the legislation, and I'm actually dealing with that, I have looked at your project, I have looked at the data of other NGOs, so we see, as a result of that, that despite the fact that children go to school, unfortunately in the legislation there is no provision about providing access to education to foreign migrant children. Moreover, with this also, the International Organization of Migration, while conducting research in various regions, they identified that more than 10,000 migrant children from various countries that got stuck in Kazakhstan did not have access to education. So education and documentation are the main key problems that need to be resolved. We also need to resolve this legally, and we will make sure that we do that this year. Thank you very much for this opportunity to talk to you. I hope that today we will develop a lot of useful recommendations, and I would like to wish to all of the participants of the conference success. Thank you. Thank you, Dinara Bulatovna. I think that we will find great partners in you and in people like you. We do have a lot of actionable recommendations from the government, from the NGOs, as part of our projects and as part of projects that they're implementing. And all organizations that are accredited in our territory, they all understand what our opportunities are, what our prospects are, and of course this belief in Kazakhstan and the ability to develop a new policy aimed at protecting children. I think that is all there. I would also like to say to the UNICEF office, and Mr. Van Diesen is here, we have implemented a lot of projects together. I have been working in this capacity since September 2019, but I think this project is the largest project so far in which I am involved, and we did get some really practical outcomes, and we partnered with the public sector, with the private sector, and so we were able to develop recommendations. And Mr. Van Diezen, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, dear Elvira. Thank you to all of you, dear participants. I will speak in English with apologies. I want to start really with thanking you. And I want to start not the usual people, the people who've done the hardest work, which is the frontline workers. And there are many of you in this room. Those of you who have worked with children who found themselves in a migration process and who fell into difficulties. And I want to thank you because the work you're doing is incredibly significant work, but it's also incredibly hard work, because you are with these children who are facing real struggles, and it's emotionally hard to be with children who are going through such difficult periods in their life. It's also incredibly hard work because there are so many obstacles in your way. Nothing is easy, right? Everything in terms of getting the right documents for a child, making sure that they have the right support in terms of medical provisions, making sure that they eventually can return to their families or can return to their home countries. Lots and lots of obstacles are always in your way. That is also hard. So for all your hard work, for all your difficult work, but for your very rewarding work, I would like to thank you first and foremost. And please keep doing what you're doing. I would also, of course, like to thank our partners, our many, many partners in this government, our partners in government, at the local level, at the central level, you in particular, dear Elvira, for always being with us in this project throughout. I'd like to thank, of course, the donors, our partners in the European Union, without whom this project would not have been possible, as well as the many NGOs we've worked with and our sister agencies in the UN, particularly UNHCR and IOM. Today we're coming to the end of a project, and we're taking stock of the achievements that we've made together. There is a lot of work ahead, but let's stop at the achievements first and foremost. And really, I think it is quite unique what we've managed to do together over the past few years. So we have results at the level of strengthened policy and legislative frameworks, better methodological guidance, capacity building, coordination mechanisms that have been established. But most importantly, of course, we have developed a new way of providing protection services to children in the migration process. A new way of coordinating these services that can now be replicated as well and can be further scaled up. Of course, ultimately, what counts most is the children we have reached. So I am incredibly proud, and I think all of us should be incredibly proud, that as a result of this program, more than 1,200 children have been supported in the difficult situations that they were in. Also incredibly important is that through all our joint efforts, we've actually made it possible for more than 1,500 children who would have otherwise not have had a birth certificate to achieve a birth certificate. Thanks to the changes in the legislative framework, now every child born in a medical facility in Kazakhstan, irrespective of the status of their mother, will be issued with a birth certificate. And that in itself puts them on a much better path. It gives them a much better start in life. So that is really a fantastic achievement. And that's one achievement that will keep paying off, right? As this project comes to a close, we have achieved this change in the legislative framework, and that will be benefiting many more children in the future. We've also had many, many more insights in terms of how to take forward the issues affecting children with migration with other countries in the region. So I'd like to thank also the embassies of the neighboring countries. I recognize the Consul General from the Republic of Uzbekistan. We've had great participation also from the other Central Asian countries, in particular Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan as well. And that has been tremendously important as well, to build stronger coordination mechanisms across the countries in the region. We're going to hear a lot about the achievements we've made and the work that's still ahead, so let me not preempt what the next presenters are going to share with you. But let me once again say, from all of us at UNICEF and on behalf of children, thank you so much for all the work.
Thank you, Mr. Van Diezen. I'd like to say that everything that you have mentioned requires further action. And in this respect, our reliable partner, a partner who helps us practically to legalize the initial process of the access of citizens to the rights which are guaranteed by the government, is getting documents, especially for the children. And that's why our reliable partner is always the Migration Service Committee. And I believe that in this regard we haven't just cooperated, but I hope that you have outlined some issues for yourself of how can we be more efficient about the legalizing children's status in migration processes, because in perspective this is not just an issue of access, but it's how to determine the future fate of a child, and that impacts the family, the status of adults, because to continue being in a stigma, that is the risk for misdemeanor, both for the child and an adult and the people who are surrounding them. So that's why the issue of security is the one which has been impacted by legalizing a child's status. So I'd like to give the floor to the Deputy Chair of the committee, Mr. Tlelbek Takhtanov. Hello, dear participants of this meeting. On behalf of the committee, let me welcome the participants of this meeting. The Migration Service Committee is always responsible about their international commitments, especially in migration and protection of children's rights. We are always working on the improving conditions of migrants and their protection. The Ministry of Internal Affairs is always improving the procedure of their registration. We're always open and we're ready to improve. So if there are any questions, we would be happy to take them and participate in the discussion. Thank you so much for your attention. Thank you for assuring us that you will continue working with us in practical ways, because here we have representatives of the civil sector, civil society, and they're the ones who face specific cases, and they extremely need your support. Next, I'd like to give the floor to our government services, the Children's Rights Protection Committee and representatives of the UNICEF that have been supporting this project ideologically, and also other colleagues, those that have contributed to the system around a child in migration processes, and the employees of a center which works with children who are in a migration situation and who had some difficulties with their social and economic status. I am glad about the phrase that Bibi Gul said, that they have revised the approach to work of the centers. And that means that the system can work as a domino principle when they will find the support of specific beneficiaries. And in this regard, for us, it was very important that the adaptation centers and children's support centers, that they would revise their management. And for us, it would be a guarantee that this would be legally supported. So in the presentations, I'd like to give the floor first to Mr. Dulat Zhikibayev, Deputy Chair of the Committee on Children Right Protections from the Ministry of Education and Science. And then we'll have the lead of children protection, Ayslu Bekmusa. I understand that Mr. Dulat Zhikibayev will present online. So I welcome all the participants. I welcome Elvira, Ms. Elvira Zimova. Welcome all the participants. Whatever we do today, this is to provide a support to every child. So I'd like to welcome our partners, dear chair. So I wanted to talk briefly about this program, and then our colleagues from UNICEF will take over. Under the financial support of European Union for 2017-2020, it's the UNICEF in Kazakhstan, the Ombudsman on Human Rights, our committee, and other government authorities such as Ministry of Internal Affairs. They have provided the program to protect children in migration processes. And Ms. Elvira, we have met on several occasions under your leadership, planning our further activities. So colleagues, can you see my slide? I don't see my slides. The goal of the program is to protect the rights of children who are in migration process. So while implementing this program, next slide. While implementing the program, the legal framework and methodology has been improved, working with the families in migration process. Global agreement has been supported on streamlining migration. It has entered the network on migration and implementation of the global agreement. The concept was developed for 2022-2026, and here we show our main results. In 2019, UNICEF and the committee, they had a report on the main and migrational process in Kazakhstan. In 2020, Kazakhstan, together with Elvira Abukasimova, had an analysis of the potential of a national system of Kazakhstan, on the non-accompanied and the children who are being separated. And that was the foundation for implementation of pilot services, coordination of the program, which was done at a central level, chaired by Elvira, Ms. Elvira, and also at the local level. Then to support and to test the model in migration, UNICEF in Kazakhstan has attracted Quorum International as consultants, and in 3 regions we had consultancy services in Nur-Sultan, Almaty and Turkestan region. So as you can see this on the map, at the beginning of the process we have selected some large cities, and you see that the south, the capital, and these regions which are widely populated, some 1,300 children in migration have secured these services which were provided by the centers in Nur-Sultan in these 3 cities. Next slide, you see the coverage of children in this pilot projects. You see that the NGOs have actively contributed. You see on the map in 3 regions we had 3 NGOs working. So the policy of our country, as you all know, is that on many issues we collaborate with NGOs, and the NGOs, they raise specific issues, especially for the protection of children. On the next slide, you see that the children that received protection services, 920 children. Here I'd like to emphasize that it was highlighted that 15 children, there is a number of children who were reunited abroad with the support of UNICEF. They were reunited with their families, and 48 children, that's the number of children who had no birth registration, and 51 children they were registered in a hospital, in a clinic, who could not get some medical assistance previously. And as this program unraveled, the low-hanging fruits, we shared them with the regions, the quick wins. We received 3 methodology guides, and based on them, together with UNICEF, we have scaled up the experience of other regions. And the employees of these child protection services for the children who are in migrant processes, they were trained. And most importantly, our main work as a central government body, the authority which develops rules and regulations, we worked on the changes to rules and regulations based on the case management for the pilot project and the integration with the digital map of families. I'd like to say that the typical protection services and how we worked with NGOs, how we had the NGOs involved, it will be presented by UNICEF further. And the next slide. Here, dear participants, I'd like to pay your attention that the persons who are contacting child in migration processes, such as teachers, doctors, healthcare, the Ministry of Internal Affairs, the Committee of National Security, our committees locally, the representatives of the government. Here I'd like to tell that the most important thing that within the program, what have been achieved during this work and what are we to do?
The order of the minister has been amended. We amended it back in December 2021, and now we have added the service of psychological support. This will be available in the regions very shortly. Secondly, when we visited Almaty with Azamat and when we drew our preliminary results, we developed amendments over a very short period of time in line with international standards relating to working with children using the case management system. This is for children not only in migration processes but also in difficult life situations and for those children who don't have parents. So this is now part of the service of psychological assistance, and this is now available in the portal. We also provided this information to all appropriate agencies, and from the Public Council we already got some feedback, and I think that before the end of June the order of this order of the ministry will be signed by the minister. You have mentioned Bibi Gul, my friend, and Bibi Gul is right in saying that all our colleagues from all the regions, everybody is saying that amending legislation and is something that is supported by everybody, and this is a step toward transformation of our work at the center. Another objective that we have to achieve is the integration with the digital family map. We want to digitalize everything and to have this in electronic format. Everybody, all our colleagues from all the agencies and ministries, they need to work on the integration of the digital family map, and we're working on this together with our colleagues from the Ministry of Labor. And going forward, we will use this program. We want all children to be part of this case management system, and then we will also integrate all that with the digital family map. So those are the goals and objectives that we set, or we have set for ourselves. I would like to thank everyone, more specifically the ambassador for the financial assistance, UNICEF in the person of Mr. Van Diesem, and overall the whole UNICEF team for providing us with the legal, methodological support, and you, Ms. Commissioner, Madam Commissioner, for coordinating everybody. I believe that by uniting our efforts, we, the state agencies, will improve the situation for our children. Thank you very much. I think that's it from me. Over to you, colleagues. Just one comment, very brief comment. The portal that has been mentioned by Dulat is available. You can support the project by going to the portal, and those amendments that have been mentioned, they have been prepared in light of the project. So all of you who represent your own organizations, please go there and leave your positive comments. Those amendments have been tested by practical steps. Now I would like to give the floor to Aysalu. She will continue what Dulat has said. From the point of UNICEF, she'll talk about the results and prospects. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Thank you, Dulat Shaykenovich, for presenting our main outcomes of this program, more specifically services for children, protection services for children, migration processes, and case management system. You also have mentioned it, and the centers for adaptation of minors and children's support centers. You've all mentioned that. Those are all the outcomes. I will talk very briefly about some intermediary results. More specifically, as per UN estimates, more than 400,000 children in Kazakhstan were born outside Kazakhstan, but they are located inside Kazakhstan. So this is a mobile children's demographic group. Those are people, those are children who are vulnerable, those are children who are in migration processes. That's why it's very important to know exactly who these children are, what difficulties they're facing, and what support and assistance we can provide to them to protect their rights and interests. And based on the lessons that we have right now, the rights and interests of these children are complied with. But when administrative problems arise, then we face problems with how to provide assistance and help to them. And so those administrative issues relating to the absence of registration, birth certificates, or registering them as labor migrants. 16-year-olds, 18-year-olds can work in Kazakhstan. And so all these issues were raised. I will be very brief. I don't want to take up much of your time. This program has helped us to strengthen our approach to social work. With the help of Kazana, a society of practitioners was set up. Recommendations were developed, focusing on social work. A lot of specialists were trained. About 163 specialists were trained. The specialists themselves received very detailed training, and we worked with the students as well. Now, I would some brief information bits are available, or will be made available by us shortly. Detailed analysis of the legislation was done as well, was undertaken, and we will continue working on that. We also worked on how to improve the infrastructure, the environment, and on many other things relating to providing documents to children and to children without citizenship. This was made possible thanks to the efforts of many agencies involved, including the UNHCR and the public sector, and allow me therefore to express our gratitude to all those involved. All these outcomes and results were made possible by you, and the children were able to get access to these services, and I would like to thank you all for your work. We will stay in touch, and I would like to wish all of us all the success going forward, and happy 1st of June. Thank you very much. Thank you. I would like to once again agree with what Aysunur has said. We are indeed reaching another level of our cooperation. This is not the end of our project. By the 1st of June, the day of protecting children, we will be able to demonstrate specific results. So we will celebrate this day by identifying our commitment and by talking about our real contribution. In this slide, to discuss the outcomes of the project, and we know our project was implemented as a pilot project in 4 regions. Those are Nur-Sultan, Almaty, Shymkent, and now we will listen to those speakers who actually implemented the project locally in those locations. Allow me to give the floor to Utesheva Almagul Kumarovna. She is from the Department of Education of the city of Almaty. Azamat will help you. We have a lot of assistance from UNICEF, but Azamat didn't mention that we have certain time limits. So let me say this once again. As for the time limits, the time now is 16:12, so we are running behind the schedule. Good afternoon, conference participants. I'm glad to welcome you to Almaty, and I would like to share my impressions about the work that was done by the Department of Education within the framework of the project Protection of the Rights of Children in Migration Processes. Since 2018, (218) children were assisted, including children from the CIS. The majority of children are children from Tajikistan and Uzbekistan. Today, we have mentioned already the objectives of the project. We are happy that the Department of Education, with its partners, have been able to reach the main objective of the project, focusing on those children that needed to be supported. They were protected. The majority of those children were returned to their native countries, countries of origin. More specifically, we have dealt with 769 children. We helped them as per the case management technology, in accordance with the guidance, to meet the needs of those children. 111 children were assisted, and we were in touch with the non-governmental organization Radnik, and we are very happy that we were able to help 21 children at the Center for Support of Children. The project is over, but we continue helping these children. It's important to say that we assist both girls and boys, and we have an equal number of both genders. Age-wise, those were children from 0 to 13 years of age. We had children from 6 countries. There were parents that didn't have any citizenship. 21 children received assistance at the Center or Children's Support Center and at Zhanuyan. Those are predominantly children from the Republic of Uzbekistan. All children were assisted with registration and other documents. Children received birth certificates for return to their motherland, and national passports. All children also obtained access to health care. Children with parents and guardians were able to return to their motherland, and the case management system enabled us to help them at the migration service at the administrative court of the city of Almaty. This slide shows you that 3 meetings took place of the Coordination Council, 1 working visit. The Center for Children was also equipped at the at the Children's Support Center. And also publications were made about preventive measures for COVID and safe migration. All those materials were distributed to the 2 educational institutions of Almaty. The case management system was taught to 5 employees of the Department of Education and the Children's Support Center. A guideline was also distributed to the employees of the Almaty Children's Support Center. 8 employees underwent training. Here you will see rooms that were equipped by UNICEF. We had rooms like that at the Children's Support Center, and then with the help of UNICEF, these rooms were equipped. Those are working days of the project, first meetings with parents and children, together with representatives of Rodnik, the Children's Support Center, and representatives of the Juvenile Police. As you can see from the slide, this is a court meeting that was held online, documentation at the consulate, working meetings and corrections of cases, games, creative work, but most importantly, the help that was given for them to return to the motherland. A coordinating council was a very important key moment. During its meetings, important issues were discussed and important decisions were made on the protection of children in migration processes. The meeting with UNICEF representative Arthur van Diesel stands out in this regard. During this meeting, we discussed our successes and difficulties. What conclusions can we make? First of all, close cooperation has been established with Rodnik, with the Consulates General of the Republic of Uzbekistan and the Republic of Kyrgyzstan to protect the rights of children in migration processes. 150 children in Almaty received backpacks with school supplies, hygiene kits, and protective equipment against COVID-19. A coordinating council was set up whose members were active participants in solving the problems of children in migration processes. It's important to keep the council functioning. There is no one algorithm in protection of children in migration. Equipped rooms are an additional resource for organizing children's leisure and meetings with parents. The introduction of case management to the structure of the work of the Center for Supporting Children requires amendments to regulations and legislation and other instructions. As I have said, more than 700 children in migration processes have been assisted. I would like to take this opportunity and to thank UNICEF in Kazakhstan, the European Union, the Commissioner for Human Rights in the Republic of Kazakhstan, the Committee for the Protection of Children's Rights under the Ministry of Education and Science, as well as all of our partners for their contribution that they have made to the protection of children's rights. Thank you for your attention. Thank you. You were quite emotional, and your microphone tended to turn off, but everybody, I think, saw you and heard you perfectly. Now I would like to give the floor to our Consul General. As has been said and mentioned by the previous speakers, a lot of assistance we have received from the consulate. Over to you. The General Consul of Uzbekistan. Good afternoon, friends, colleagues. For me, it's a huge honor today to take part in this conference that focuses on the project for protection of children in migration processes, organized by the representative office of UNICEF in Kazakhstan, and to share with you my vision and my proposals with respect to this issue. Our event today is being held on the eve of the International Day of Protection of Children. And this means that UNICEF pays a lot of attention, as well as other organizations and the government of Kazakhstan and the neighboring countries in the region, to the issue of protection of children. I'm very happy today to see among you familiar faces, faces of our friends and partners,
and to meet new friends and colleagues and to exchange opinions. So with your permission, I'd like to share the following observations. First of all, in Uzbekistan, lately the attitude towards migrants has been changed. We have a dialogue with labor migrants. We have a new system of resolving problems of such migrants. We have a support fund for the rights of the migrants who are working abroad, and there is insurance of life and health for labor migrants and providing mortgages for their families. The President, with its decree on the 15th of September 2020, there are measures to provide for orderly and safe labor migration, providing complex measures to support people who are working abroad, and to provide for reintegration of people who returned from labor migration. Since the 1st of January 2021, in Uzbekistan, there is a system of mandatory professional training for the people who are going to work abroad. So to provide assistance to the migrants in Kazakhstan, according to the decree of the President, in April 2018, general consulate offices were opened in Almaty and in Aktau, and also in Nur-Sultan there is an attaché on labor migration. Also, I'd like to note here that Uzbekistan pays a lot of attention to the orphanages for orphans and the children who are left without parental supervision. There is a decree to implement the updated upbringing of children who are left without parents. So the main idea of the governmental decisions on reforming the system is that every child should live and be brought up in a family and get education to develop harmonically, both physically and emotionally. So the main task of our General Consulate in Almaty is to provide for the protection of Uzbek citizenship in Kazakhstan, providing practical assistance to the migrants who could be in a difficult situation. So in order to provide access to these issues, there are numerous cases when Uzbek migrants, they enter Kazakhstan in order to continue working without legal ground, and they usually face difficult situation together with their families. We usually see the consequences of labor migration when they end up with and they become victims of human trafficking. Unfortunately, there are cases when in Kazakhstan the vulnerable migrants and children were left unattended. And according to the governmental decree of the 7th of December 2022 on how to improve the children, the citizens that were left abroad, how to integrate them back to Uzbekistan. In 2021, 26 juveniles were returned. 14 of them were placed with orphanages and 12 were given back to their lawful parents. In order to tackle and decide these issues, the General Consulate is closely working with the adaptation centers for the teenagers, for the juveniles. So we are cooperating with diasporas, with NGOs and law enforcement, with our partners such as Rodnik and Sanasizim. So together with Rodnik and Sanasizim, in 2017, 17 children from Shimkent, they received the certificate of return to Uzbekistan. 8 were given certificates that they do not have Uzbek citizenship, and 3 were given results on how they can be returned. In Almaty, returning status received 18 parents. So that was done together with Sanasizim and Rodnik. Also, during 2021, the most difficult pandemic year, with the Rodnik support, the children of vulnerable labor migrants, they received 45 bags with the individual protection, with school stationaries. So we have several cases that we are tackling together with our partners. Of course, we'll continue our cooperation. So today, unofficially, we discussed our perspectives of work with Kazakhstan government bodies and law enforcement and UNICEF and other UN agencies. So we are committed to continue cooperation in this area and do maximum we can. Thank you so much for your attention. Thank you. I'd like to thank and to know that Uzbek consulate as to providing aid to the status legalization plays a crucial role. So we've discussed on how could we cooperate even more. So on the 28th of April, second plan was accepted for the human rights with 2 important issues that I believe where we need to continue cooperation. It's the past the law on human trafficking, as Uzbekistan has adopted this law. And of course here we welcome your experience and your positive experience which you have today as to implementation. And second is to have international agreements for the practical support similar to the project which we have implemented together. Thank you so much. Next, I'd like to give the floor to the Shymkent delegation. So Shymkent and Turkestan region are the two regions that were involved in our project. So I'd like to give the floor to Garbaeva Saulem, head of the center in Shymkent. Center for Adaptation of Minors, Shymkent. First of all, I'd like to thank the organization of UNICEF, UN, and protection of children in migrant process in Shymkent and in Turkestan province. This is the presentation on the results of our program. Colleagues have already pinpointed the similar activities in three provinces, so I'd like to emphasize on the coordination committee. We've had implemented our managed case, and that work was done. The NGOs and the centers, they have provided for the service model, and we have applied that to NGOs and minor adaptation centers. Also, coordination committee, the governmental bodies were participating. Center for Adaptation of Minors, the Minors Committee, the Migration Service, Department of Labor and Social Protection. The range of services has been already discussed. Legal services, social and psychological services were provided on demand. Also, you know that our region is a border region, and at Zhybek-Zholy we have provided assistance so that the children could go back to their country of origin. Also providing aid to the migrants that during pandemic they had to stay near Zhybek-Zholy village at the custom point, and they did not have even the first amenities, their basic needs. So they received sanitary kits with water, toothbrushes, and toothpastes, as well as detergents. Also, they received some humanitarian assistance. In our project, we started to participate since 2020, and we have covered 18 children in the Center for Adaptation of Minors. They have been documented, and also with the support of Sanasizim during pandemic, the parents went to register in Uzbekistan. They could not return to Kazakhstan, and with Sanasizim support, they were helping them to buy tickets and to fly into Kazakhstan. And also, in order to raise this issue, we also provided financial support for the DNA services. In 2021, there was a return of children to their country of origin through the Zhibek-Zhili customs checkpoint. Also, I'd like to thank the Committee for the Child Protection. When we had labor migrants, we could not send them to their country within the best interest of the child. So with the support of these children were they were adopted, and so we were asking international experts, what can we do, because we couldn't contact the Embassy of China. I was calling myself, and I was forwarded to different departments, so we couldn't find a solution. So that's why we have reached to the So you see that there are a lot of partners, and when there is a practical situation, it was very difficult. So it's very important what kind of tools that you have developed together with the committee. Also, we worked with the Uzbek consulate. Thank you for your attention. I hope that it doesn't end our communication within our hybrid format, and I believe that we will talk later, because we could provide this assistance to you now, because according to the law which was adopted at the end of the last year, and we will work on the constitutional law, on ombudsman will get the regional representative offices. Next, I'd like to give the floor to our partners from the civil society, the employees of the Kazakh International Bureau on Human Rights, Kaulis Katerina and Zhavaga Denis. Dear colleagues, hello, I thank you for the opportunity to work on this project. Today I can represent the NGO work, the people who work at the front line. We will provide a presentation based on Nur-Sultan example, but when we're talking about that we have done, it will include Astana Sezim from Shymkent and Rodnik from Almaty, who worked using single UNICEF model. We wanted to show you the photographs. So international cooperation was the basis for interaction and cooperation. Coordinational councils were created in 3 cities with the civil servants from the Department of Education, Department of Police, Department for the Support of Children in Difficult Situation. They were sending NGOs, and NGOs have been providing legal services to the children. The issues of documenting, determining the civil and national identity, as well as providing assistance during divorces. Such legal assistance was provided. Also providing psychological support based at the centers for the support of children in difficult situations. Humanitarian assistance, 100 children received these bags with certain kits for the adults too. We knew that there will be some kind of support, so we based them in Nur-Sultan. But now we understand that the children who need this humanitarian face, they are not only in this capital, Nur-Sultan, but we also need to provide access to remote areas. So we had visits, and a social worker of this project, she went to Akmola, finding these children, joining efforts with Kausar NGO from Karaganda to find these children and provide support to them, because that would include also these are the brochures which I will mention later. There is support from Karaganda and other NGOs. So that was quite important. Also, the centers for the support of children in difficult life situations, these are the most vulnerable children. I'd like to thank also Ms. Elvira representing this center. We started our cooperation in June 2020 when there was pandemics. Everything was closed, so we provided to these centers humanitarian assistance, masks and antiseptics. So we tried everything to provide access. We've been having online talks, doing lectures, and when it was possible, Diana was providing access, visiting children's support centers, working with the children. So these centers were equipped, they became more friendly, because although they do everything possible, these are the closed entities, the children cannot escape them. So the effort was to make it like home. So we've tried to cover it in light colors. And humanitarian assistance, toys were delivered to our children. Also in our center, we had a center both for the children and their parents.
Our objective was to improve children's lives jointly. I will be wrapping this up shortly. I would like to thank everyone. I would like to thank the Commissioner for Human Rights of the Republic of Kazakhstan. She took a direct part in certain cases. There were some difficult cases. Without your help, it would have been impossible to resolve them. Thank you for your support, for your help, and for implementing this project. I would like to give the floor now to Mr. Javaga. So we have done this. We did this for the sake of these children, but experts were also involved in this work. The Kazakh Bureau for Human Rights unites experts from different fields, and they also were involved in this work to improve children's lives, to look at legislative amendments, to come up with brochures, etc. Thank you, Irina. I would also like to thank all that were involved in this project and all organizations that provided funding for this project. I think this project demonstrated that the cooperation between the government, NGOs, the public and the private sector, this cooperation has demonstrated that projects can be implemented jointly, and we all understand that women and children in migration processes are the most vulnerable category, and they are in unpredictable circumstances. This coincided with the COVID-19 pandemic, and so a decision was made to develop a number of information brochures focusing on how to behave during the pandemic, what to do, what measures, preventive measures to take during the pandemic. So brochures were developed for migrants, for those seeking refuge, and it's great that thanks to this project we were able to do that. Most importantly, we conducted comparative analysis of the legislation and experts took part in this work. Legal analysis is the most important component. We all realize that assistance and help are important, but if we do not amend the legislation, if we do not revise this, then we will not be able to achieve a lot. And when we can recommend amendments, and when these amendments are taken into account by the government, and this then impacts the lives of children in migration processes and leads to the improvement of the overall situation, that is great. All that was made possible thanks to this project, and despite the fact that the project is over, this work will continue, and the government is interested in this productive work, and I hope that going forward we will continue doing this and new projects will arise and we will be able to improve lives of women and children in migration processes. Thank you for your attention. I do empathize with the speakers. There is so much that we want to say, but we have to observe the time limits. Ms. Makayeva, the head of the Department for Citizenship and Migration of the Nur-Sultan Department of the Police, was supposed to say a few words. And she agreed, but in your place I wouldn't agree because you are here from Nur-Sultan. What you have said in your speeches actually has been reflected in the recommendation. So once again, we will meet again at 5:10. Now we will hold a meeting of the Coordinating Council. I would like to ask everyone to go to your respective discussion platforms. We will exchange our talking points as to what we expect as a result from this project, from the completion of this project, and all that will be reflected in our document and in our further cooperation.